Hi folks, after some light diagnostic maneuvering, I've discovered that it's OBS is the problem. It's not actually the webcam. The webcam's working just fine in any other software, but seems to be struggling in OBS, so maybe later I'll reinstall OBS or something exciting. Oh, there it goes again, look. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. But anyway, you don't really need to see me. All you need. Oh, hang on. I wonder while it's going, can I just ditch the video bit? Can I do that? Is that going to work for me? Is it going to work for me? I don't know. Am I still? Is this still happening? What is happening? Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? Here is Tahn. In the bottom left, and it will in the top left. So we've got Zerg, we've got Tahn. Will is building a wall, and that is eminently sensible. That is the right thing to do. Not only is he building a wall, he's building it on the correct ramp. Don't be building the wall here, do be building the wall here. So this is now a complete wall off, and if a bunch of lings were to turn up, they wouldn't be able to get in because there's a wall. Now do bear in mind, as a Terran player, if lings do show up and they start nibbling the wall, you can send SCVs to repair this stuff, and you can just send them over here, and you can right click the repair symbol rather than left click it on, and that auto casts repair and puts them on auto repair mode, so that they will just repair anything within their kind of vision range. Obviously anything that is your stuff. They won't repair like your enemy's stuff. Don't worry about that. Not that you can repair Zerg things, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it's going to be a Marine. It's going to come out, and this Overlord is deep. So if the Marine comes out the front, you could find this Overlord and actually kill it, and that would be a little awkward. This is not high ground, so the Overlord doesn't, I don't believe this counts as high ground. I think that Overlord can be seen from here. This is a vulnerable Overlord, and so is this one actually. But of course, it's always a risky business to send your Marines out to snipe an Overlord, because you don't know if a bunch of lings are going to come and surround. Anyway, there's yeah, what is happening here? Gas has only just started being mined. No, it hasn't. He started the speed upgrade. That's okay. I must have, I don't know. For some reason I didn't think speed was being researched. Maybe it only just started. Who knows? I'm not very good at this, to be honest. This whole casting malarkey. I miss a lot of stuff. Anyway, Will is expoing up in the gold here, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah. As a Terran, of course, you can drop a bunch of mules on that, and that can sort of get a very quick boost in minerals. So you do need to be ready to use that. So I like the extra couple of racks, but I wouldn't mind seeing more like 7 barracks come down. You can definitely build 7 Marines at a time if you're mining from a gold base without too much bother. The Overlord here is going to come in and is very soon going to confirm the presence of that command center, and it does. So once that starts mining, personally, I'd be inclined to transfer SCVs into that location, or at the very least drop mules from this command center in this location. These Marines are going to get the Overlord, and that is going to supply block Tahn for a little while anyway. There is not another Overlord in production, so he starts up 2 to make up for that. And what is going on? What is happening here, man? OBS is not behaving itself. Yeah, these barracks actually idle for the time being. Not sure why that is. He has got free supply. He has certainly got minerals in the bank. So why are these barracks not building stuff, Will? You are going to have to build the stuff if you want to win the game. So lings coming across with the speed upgrade, and it isn't enough. This is not enough lings to actually break this, not even close, really. If the Marines are sort of positioned here or here, they've got the ramp covered, and there's no way those lings can survive long enough at the top of the ramp with the firepower from those Marines. So it's double tech labs coming down, and that's interesting. More commonly, you go one tech lab, one reactor, but there's nothing wrong with the double tech lab. I don't mind it. Is he going to build Marauders out of that? He isn't. So maybe these are just for upgrades, in which case, where are the upgrades? They're not happening right now. Meanwhile at home, it's still just Ling production, which is kind of interesting because this looks difficult to break with just Lings. Here come the SCVs to do some repairing. They're not actually repairing yet, but there they go. And if we take a quick look at units killed, 15 Lings have died. I suppose one of those, actually 14 Lings plus an Overlord, have died in an effort to get through this wall and have achieved nothing. So all of the scrafters out there that have lost to Lings turning up, this is how you prevent those Lings from ruining your day. If you're Tahn and you've invested into these Lings, what should you be doing? You should be dropping a Benling nest, and as much gas as you can afford, turn them into Benlings and just bust through, smash through with Benlings and smash into these Marines with those Benlings. That is admittedly more effective if you have speed, but it will work nevertheless, even with slow Benlings. Two in this gas. Not sure about the rationale there. This is oversaturated, so he has now fixed that, and that's fine. The cure for those Benlings, of course, is a combination of things. It's 1 siege tanks, which put splash damage on them long before they get close, and 2 Marauders. Marauders are much heftier, tankier units and can take a Benling hit to the face without exploding. Roach Warren and triple Evo? Really? So I don't know what that's about, but I'll tell you what though, at 6 minutes 30, to not have these bases saturated, you're going to struggle. Let's take a quick look at the income tab. Our Terran player is way ahead on income, despite our Zerg being on 3 bases. And if we look in the production tab, no workers are being built whatsoever. So this is very much, sliding lots of eggs into the same basket here. This is a Marine heavy composition, and I'd love to see some medevacs, because without medevacs, Marines simply aren't as good. However, right now, Will could just walk across the map and win the game, because all there are Lings, and like these Marines will just beat them. They'll just beat them. Now, before too long, 1-1 is going to finish up. If we look at the upgrades tab, these Marines have got Stim, they've got Combat Shield. Of course, using Stim without medevac support is, it's not that sensible. I'll tell you what I'd love to see. I'd love to see build a CC here, fly it to here, turn it into a planetary. That'd be so funny. Imagine Tahn's surprise when he comes down to expand here to find that there's a planetary, just then dropping all the mules on the end of these guys. That would cheer me up a lot. Planetaries are tough as hell. It would be disappointing and actually alarmingly effective. Now that there's some roaches out, that's going to help. But if you want to break this front door open, you need Ravagers or Benlings. So hopefully we'll see some of those roaches turned into Ravagers, because the corrosive baths from the Ravagers can do a lot. Now the Marines, even not in the best position, can hold the top of this ramp pretty much all day long, to be honest. Are we going to see a medevac? I'm not sure. This siege tank, now that it's out, if it's parked here, sieged up, it's going to obliterate everything on that ramp. It's just going to do 2 siege tanks. You need to lower these depots to get them into a good position, but not right at the edge here. Because if it's right at the edge here, the Lings come up, they give them sight, the roaches can focus it down, and the corrosive baths can focus it down. A little bit back. What you want for your siege tank position is that, when you siege up, you can see the range of the tank. You want that range to just cover the ramp, and the siege tank to be essentially as far back as you can get away with while covering your ramp. So more roaches in production, and there is now going to be a lot of roaches on this map. This is a scary army. I think there's gaps in the minerals here, so this could really get in here and do quite a lot. But the Marines aren't in a bad position. It's hard for the Lings to get a full surround on this. This is going to cost Will a lot of workers, but it's going to cost Tahn a lot of Lings too. I don't like this position anymore for the Marines. That is better. The roaches, I don't know who's going to win this fight. These Marines do have stim. They don't have medevac support. These roaches are upgraded with 1-1, and it is going to be the roaches that are going to be able to push through here. What Will really needs to do is get his siege tanks into a good position. He needs to add some marauders into that composition, and he desperately, more than anything else, needs medevacs. You just need to build some medevacs, Will, so that you can spam that stim button and focus on these roaches pretty heartily. Roaches, of course, armored units, and armor does well against Marines. The way that Marines do damage is they do small amounts of damage very quickly and repetitively. That's why armor upgrades are so effective against them, and armored units are so effective against them, because it reduces the damage, the damage done in each kind of hit. So the DPS for Marines is high, but of course the nature of that DPS, it isn't like, you know, a big heavy tump. It is, what are these CCs doing? There isn't a single worker in production, you know. But he's not mineral rich, like mules. Even just drop mules, just transfer these workers. Get what is this? I'd like to see Will kill these rocks as well, so that it's easier for him to transport his units down. But you know, this cluster of supply depots, you could actually build a supply depot here and plug that gap. I'm just saying, and a siege tank in this location would really put the kibosh on any further shenanigans like that. But Will desperately needs to expand. He still hasn't used this location, which is arguably his natural. The Zerg is now up on 4 bases. This fleet of overlords is just bizarre. You know, this is where Will, if you had like a couple of Vikings, you could really have a field day. But he's going to move through here. I don't think the siege tanks fit. I mean, yeah, you could pick them up in the medevacs and bounce them across, and that would be absolutely fine. But I don't think they're actually going to fit through the gap. So you don't want your Marines to get caught without siege tank support. This Terran army is really, really scary. That many siege tanks sieged up will obliterate, absolutely obliterate these roaches. I mean, it would be arguably pretty painful to watch. So Will at this moment can march across the map and win this game. It's 1-1, so it's even on upgrades. There is now medevac support, and this Terran army really could go to town. You know, you look at the army supply and they're pretty even, and roaches aren't bad units. So how come the Terran has the advantage? It's all about splash damage. These roaches don't do splash, and those siege tanks do. And you know, the splash damage from, what is that, 7 siege tanks is substantial. So yeah, splash damage wins essentially. So Will, what you definitely don't want to do is walk up this ramp blind without your siege tanks sieged up, and I am beginning to worry that that's exactly what you are going to do. The stim goes down, the siege tanks at the back aren't even shooting, none of them are sieged up. This is a concave, it's going to be a massacre. The Zerg is just going to walk this, I feel. Although with the medevac support and the stim coming in, maybe now the siege tanks siege up, now that there's literally nothing left. Oh well, it just goes to show what I know. It turns out you can just walk up that ramp blind. But my goodness, it wasn't the most efficient trade. If those siege tanks are sieged up, oh, now they're unsieged as the roaches appear. I mean, it's almost like you're trying to not win here. You know, okay. Finally, these the siege tanks do now siege up, and roaches start to get absolutely obliterated. You see what happens when the siege tanks are sieged up, and because it's a splash damage effect, you know, if you double the number of roaches just then, all you do is double the number of dead roaches. But like, you need something in front to buffer for these siege tanks. They are going to get cleaned up. Medevacs don't heal siege tanks. The siege tanks are going to, like, 11 kills, 12 kills, 14 kills. That is serious efficiency. But can you keep up with the production of the Zerg? My suspicion is no. There's 4 hatcheries here. There's only the 1 factory. And yeah, I don't know that you've got the mineral. Oh, this is not a good position for these things. And the roaches are just walking past them. Yeah, like... this is a little frustrating because, you know, Will had an absolute ground-pounding army, and with better positioning, a better engage, he could have obliterated this. The Marines were fighting up a ramp, which is never, ever good, and they didn't need to be. The siege tanks weren't sieged up, so the trades were inefficient. You lost most of your Marine base, and then the siege tanks are on their own, bare and naked. They're always going to go down. And more than that, you've only got one factory to build siege tanks from. You're not building any siege tanks. You never did expand, despite having 4 command centers. Yeah, it's a Zerg game, isn't it? So, if Tahn realizes what is up, look, there's actually a 5th hatchery there in the men. He can just hold down pretty much the anything button. The Z button, the R button, it doesn't really matter. He has the capacity to just massively outbuild his opponent and just keep pushing. Yeah, the army supplies are not hugely dissimilar right now, but a lot of that is in medevac, and medevac does not shoot. There's still no more siege tanks in production. When these Marines die, that is it. There aren't the minerals to replace them. You know, he's only got enough minerals to build another 5 Marines. Now that the Hydras are out as well, look how squishy Hydras are. Hydras are great as long as, you know, something's in front of them, but these medevacs are going to get picked off pretty sharpish as well. He needs to boost those out of there. That's a bit painful to watch, isn't it? No boost, just slow-mo medevac retreat. Don't forget, medevacs tap the B button for boost and they will boost. And that's what they do. So this is a full energy orbital. This is a full energy orbital. You can drop mules on all of this and spike your income. There they go. Thank you. That is a lot of idle workers that don't have to be idle. So now that the mineral income is spiking for the Terran, you can see that shooting up with those mules, almost leveling the Zerg, literally off a single base. And it has now overtaken the Zerg, but is it going to be enough? He has got gas in the bank to spend, but, you know, a single factory, and it's still idle. Barracks, now that you've got the money, all right, you're not building anything. Why aren't we? Look, the production tab, only now. You know, you've got to stay on top of it. You've got to get siege tanks up. The siege tanks, like, let's think back to that last engage. What was the last thing standing? It was your siege tanks. Build more of those. They did really, really well. You know, we clicked on them, 14 kills, 12 kills. Did you have any Marines with that many kills? I'll tell you now, you didn't. Siege tanks can win you this game. More Marines, not so much. Siege tanks are brutal against Hydras. Hydras are light, they're not armored, so the splash damage from the siege tanks absolutely tears them a new one. Widow mines could also be really effective here as well. Anything that does splash is going to work well against these Hydras. So Tahn needs to be careful here and remember that, yeah, you're transitioning to Hydra, but you need something to tank for them. Don't forget that you need a handful of roaches on the front line just to take the Marine shots to the face. They are armored, they take Marine shots well. You also need those Hydra upgrades. So from the Hydra down, wherever it is, you need the 2 Hydra upgrades. One is a range upgrade and one is a speed of movement. These Hydras are moving in slow-mo. So hit the stim button and let's see how this trade goes. There are a reasonable number of medevacs, needs to spread them a little bit. There goes the stim. Hydras are pretty squishy, but they do have a reasonable DPS, and I think they are going to manage to crunch through this Marine army just about. But my goodness, this is inefficient and pretty ugly to watch. Where there are a few roaches in the front, this would have been a much more efficient trade. Where there are 2 siege tanks in the back, the Terran army crushes. You know, as it is, what sort of shape are the finances in for Will? They're not great. There's 9 Marines being made. Finally, a siege tank starts up, but too little too late, I'm afraid. Marauders, not a bad choice. The Marauders will do pretty well. Marauders with medevac support are hard to kill. They're armored units, but the burst damage from the Hydras will still be able to focus them down. Right clicking on those one at a time should finish them off. As it is, the Hydras have killed the medevacs, and I don't know. You know, the Terran surely can't keep up with the production of the Zerg at this point. Although the mineral income is now pretty good for the Terran now that we're mining off 2 bases. But, you know, really it was that lack of splash damage. These siege tanks not sieged up. If these are, look, siege them up, please. Come on, siege. Oh, man. Not that these siege tanks are, oh, and these poor Marines just walking off to their doom. Stand and fight. Lure the Hydras into this choke and watch your siege tanks have fun. Because slow Hydras moving through a narrow gap against a couple of siege tanks would be just absolutely brutal. So what you want to do here, you siege these up, run the Marines down and engage, and then run away, and hopefully this is going to get nasty. Don't stand here though. You want the Hydras in the narrow bit, taking it in the face. Yeah, these Hydras just can't fight up there. That is absolute brutality. All right, this game continues. I'm not sure how. There's a lot of Hydras here, and I'd like to see Tahn, you know, do something with these Hydras. Get the Hydra upgrades, support them with roaches, get the lurker down, turn some of them into lurkers, have some ravagers with them to so that you can focus down the siege tanks, the things that the Hydras are bad against. It doesn't look like there is a plan for sort of moving on from Hydras at this stage. Tahn, you know, arguably, you don't need to move on from Marine Marauder tank. Like, that is a comp that can win you the game, but at the same time, Liberators are good units both for harass and zoning out your opponent. With the range upgrade, they can be hard to push into because the roaches would want to be at the front, and obviously the Liberators gun them down. They're brilliant at cleaning up lurkers, not that there are any, but those are the sorts of places you want to be thinking about moving to as the Terran player. Still with just one factory, 21 minutes deep. This CC really isn't going to last long against that many Hydras. So is he going to move down here? Siege tanks, siege up, siege up, siege, siege, siege. No sieging. Yes. Here we go. Kaboom. So yeah, these Hydras are going to get obliterated. Splash damage against Hydra is so brutal, and they do. So Will hangs in there still, and hopefully this is a learning experience, because every time the siege tanks get involved, he sort of wins a fight. When there aren't siege tanks involved, he loses a fight. So, you know, more factories, more mining. He isn't really expanding quickly enough. The Zerg has expanded to an extent and then kind of stopped. These Hydras are just free. It's just a waste of Hydra meat. I'd like to see the creep spread continue as well, although to be fair, it's pretty good. The bases are almost linked up, and that is overwhelmingly the single most important thing you can do with your creep spread. Make sure your bases are linked up, because if a drop or something happens, then you can get your units between your bases really quickly. Now, speaking of drops, wouldn't you love to see that? All the Hydras out the front or whatever, you know, bunch of Marines, siege tanks just dropped into this location, or indeed, better still, this location. The Hydras then would have to push up their own ramp into siege tank fire to fight back. Brutal. That could be a game ender. I mean, just load everything you've got into these medevacs and off you go. Couple of siege tanks parked up here, maybe 3 siege tanks, the rest Marine, and just running forward, focusing stuff down, and letting the siege tanks do the work. Meanwhile, sending the rest of your army over to the right-hand side to just kill some bases. Like, what sort of scouting has Will done? Let's have a look. That's how much. Literally, that one time he pushed to here, he saw this. Apart from that, literally nothing. Hasn't a clue where his opponent is. Or likewise, no, it's not significantly better on the other side. It's just that he's pushed further. He got some lings up here initially. That's the range of their vision. Got some Hydras to here, and that's the range of their vision. So neither of these players doing much of a job of scouting. Got to be careful. Once you go onto creep, every Zerg unit moves faster. So engaging on creep is a risky business. Siege them up. Say, oh no, what is the deal with not sieging up siege tanks? There's a clue in the name. They're called siege tanks. Have them sieged before they engage. But you need to clean this creep up. If you know, so generally, as you move in, you drop the scans. As a general rule with siege tanks, the way to do this is not to siege and unsiege them all at once. Unsiege half of them, move them forward, siege them. Then unsiege the other half, move them a bit further forward and siege them. So that you've always got some tanks sieged up, ready to obliterate your opponent. Now, at present, Zerg doesn't have an army and isn't building anything. I don't know why not. He's got 5,000 minerals in the bank. Yeah, alright, lings aren't perfect, but you can build lings, so build some lings. Because at present, well, you're not building anything. Nothing's happening here. So, alright, finally, 90 lings in production. If only there was a Benling nest. Although, only 17 gas to be had. And part of the reason for that is, you know, 0, 0, 0, 0. You just haven't bothered mining it. So these lings, oh, that's so much DPS. They're not going to get anything done, are they? Although the full surround, I do like it. Yeah, the lings in a, I don't know, is this going to work? Are these lings going to break this? Surely not. That's just far too many Marines. The DPS is just too high. Don't siege up once the lings are on top of you. That's just splash damage on your own units. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, get up there. This is the position. Siege up here. This is, you know, your siege tanks will be within range of the hatcheries. They'll be able to kill them. They'll have the ramp covered. Yeah, beautiful. You've always got to be careful when you're killing Zerg bases and you've got siege tanks involved. When the buildings die, little critters come out of them and they nibble your units. And if you've got a load of siege tanks at the back, the splash damage from that can give you a nasty, nasty beating. Anyway, yeah, Will won that game, and that was a thing. Was that game won? Must have been. Alrighty, GG.